Gypsy, Gypsy. I see my boy Madman sing a beautiful kite. So Gypsy, I know you joined the PNM, but you used to be, your mother brought you up well, Gypsy. So Gypsy, you being in charge of the NCC, you funding all competitions and paying all the judges and so on, you in charge. You are trying to say that because you could sing, you could enter, and it's not a crime. Well, Gypsy, that's not the benchmark. A conflict of interest does not make a crime. It don't have to reach the level of being criminal conduct. That's not how you judge a conflict of interest. It's just if it's wrong. If reasonable people would find it's unfair, that if you are paying the money and the checks, that maybe the standard would be similar, apparent bias, that judges may have an inkling to treat you differently from somebody else who's not paying them. Can't you understand that, Gypsy? That don't make sense to you? I don't want to go no further. That's a conflict of interest, and therefore, you want to be in charge of NCC, fair enough. But you have to choose. So you choose to be in charge of NCC. That means you cannot enter the competition, Gypsy, that's all. And then on top of that, you sing a set of nonsense, but that's an aside. It's similar. Faris Al-Rawi chose to be in politics, chose to go up for a seat, chose to swear in as the Attorney General. Therefore, he should have given up his right to be a landlord and to rent a building to the government of which he's a part. Not come out and sip coffee while his friend and them give him a 23 million in 3 years by 3, up to 69 million now, 70 million plus 38 million to outfit his building, 108 million. You all have just lost the plot. When I chose to get into the politics active in 2010 and then swearing as the Minister of Sport, I knew that my family dream from since we were small, and when we formed our own swimming club in 1985, Piranha Aquatics, to build a home for children to swim, for national champions to be made, Olympic champions, because we were always swimming all over the place, whether it's Jumbo Gym in McEnroe Street, or Blue Dolphins pool, or down in the Shagaramas in the 25-yard pool built by the Yankees. We always moving around, hopping around, and don't have nowhere to train. Queen's Park Hotel, where TGI Friday was a pool. We used to train there, 20-yard 3-lane pool. But when I decided to swear in to be a minister in a government, I know that the taxpayers' money cannot be used in any form or fashion to build the pool, even though the pool not for me. Me, I big and fat, I don't swim. It's for children, but it's just a conflict of interest. So you have to make a choice. So I chose to be a minister to go and serve my country. So therefore, I could not simultaneously benefit from the taxpayers' money to build my dream pool for the children. So that's why the pool was never built. Because that involved my family land and my family club. But not PNM. PNM come, swearing to be Attorney General, and sit down in a cabinet and let the cabinet approve and sign rental for himself. And you all say that's okay. And then we move on to the Integrity Commissioner. The chairman, I waited, I put out something. You're answering, you're ignoring. Hey, Mr. What your name again? Hayden Gittins. We ask you simple questions, and you confirm that yes, you've been the neighbor of Newman George and Bridget Anisette George, two high-ranking PNM, a speaker of the House and a man on 7 board, spending billions of dollars per year of taxpayers' money. That your neighbor. That alone disqualifies you, Mr. Hayden Gittins. You don't understand. Go and read the definition of apparent bias, which is the basis of conflict of interest. And therefore, it's the Integrity Commission. You're supposed to uphold the highest levels and highest order of integrity. So any apparent bias, it does not mean you're a bad man. It don't mean you're a PNM. It don't even mean you like your neighbor. Doesn't mean that. It just means that you've had a relationship with people who you will have to oversee in an adversarial position in politics. And therefore, if a reasonable person feels that you may have an affinity for your neighbors, then that is sufficient to disqualify you from holding the position. Mr. Hayden Gittins, I don't know if you understand. You could be the best man in the world. You could be the most. That's irrelevant. You worked with the president, brother, for years in the same institution. A reasonable person will say that that's why you got the position, because you have some sort of relationship with the president who appointed you. That's enough to disqualify you from holding the position. You're sitting down quiet and fighting there. It's not looking good. You're bringing the Integrity Commission into disrepute. The institution must be bigger than you. That institution must be held to the highest order so that when they make decisions, the country accepts it without question. The country will not accept any decision you make, because you also were the CEO of the SEC, and Colm Imbot had the power to veto you, and he did not. And in Trinidad and Tobago, everybody know Colm Imbot. If he didn't know that he could control you, or that you had a liking or belief or similar beliefs as he does, he would have vetoed you. That's what he does. His appointments across the board. Look who he gave working at LCB. Look at the central bank governor who he appoint. Look, he fighting to appoint TTRA because Imbot wants to control everything. Look, he appoint his friend as NIB chairman. First on the board, then chairman, after he moved that woman from the bank, that Helen Drayton. Then he put his friend in charge of the TTMF and the Home Mortgage Bank. That's Colm Imbot. He put you and left you in the SEC. That's enough for a reasonable person to say, Mr. Gittins, that you have some sort of relationship, closeness, affinity, care, or liking for the PNM. That's the Minister of Finance who you have to oversee. It's more important for you to be independent and very far apart from the government. Opposition can't spend no money, so we're going to do? Investigate the opposition. We can't even buy a pen. It's a Westminster system. So Mr. Hayden Gittins, I was waiting to hear you respond. So you can't just say that everything Wade Mark say, everything Kamala say is true. Them is my neighbor. Bridget and he said George and Newman George. 20 years. I work with Kangaloo brother, yes, in the same bank. Different department, but same bank. And yes, I was SEC CEO and called me, but approved me, he didn't veto me. You can't say yes, yes, yes to that and hold the work and stay in the position. The apparent bias benchmark has been broached. But I don't expect you. You see now, any reasonable person will say, boy, yeah, let me come out of that. Let me resign that. That is not for me. But you know what? You won't. You want to know why? You want to know why you won't? You could fight and stay there? Exactly. You see, you got my point, Mr. Hayden Gittins. But bless, no? Bless. All right? Everything in this country is a joke.